Welcome to the first edition of the Poor Man's Workshop. Ooh, that's good. We call it the Poor Man's Workshop because we work a lot like the craftsmen of the early 1900s. Very few power tools, a lot of hand tools, and basically we use wood and scraps that we find around the house. So, having said that, our first project is going to be to restore this 10-year-old ottoman. Now, the fabric and the stuffing is in relatively good shape. However, over years and years of abuse, the wheels have dipped in. Okay, so now we're going to take the top cover off to take a look inside and see what the damage is. Let's have a look. Very important to keep drinking, keeping your glass full. Now we're going to take our staple puller, as you can see here, the double edge, sometimes they call it the snake tongue, and we're going to pop the staples from the frame. So we could take this top covering off and expose the issues beneath. And we remove this. And now you can see what we have inside is pressed wood. It's strong, it's durable, but it's sometimes hard to work with. Looks like we have 1x2s going across for bracing, and in the corner 1x1s. Okay. Now here is the trouble. They have plastic corners that over time have come unsecured from the interior. And of course everything is sealed with staples. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take these out in each corner. We have 4. And we're actually going to put bracing along here. Okay? And they should get about another 10 years out of this ottoman. And at that point they can choose to recover it or get rid of it. Okay, now, my great-great-grandfather told me one time, he said, measure twice, cut once. Now, there were many staples. We had many staples getting through here. Through the plastic, they have beefy staples. Okay, I believe these are, I don't know if you can see that, rather large staples. Oops. Okay, and they're all through that and they're recessed. So it's very difficult getting these corner pieces off. They're loose, as you can see, yet still fastened. So it's going to take a little work, but we'll get through it. We'll pop these staples up so we can get to the beefy ones. And you have to watch yourself because you don't want to get cut. What you do is you pull the fabric back, and you get your snake tongue under there, and you pry it. Now this is going to change our plans as far as our inner radius. We're putting our 1x. Because the staples do not come out, we're going to have to bang them flush. And they can only get so flush. There. There you have it. This is your plastic corner piece. It was chock full of staples. We'll see what we can salvage about that later on. Oh, that's good. All right. So now we're going to cut our inserts. Okay? We're going to have braces going around with that hammer. Again, we got the staple sticking out here, so what do we do about that? I don't know. I'm a poor man. So, we're going to kind of ignore some of the anomalies here. What did I say before? Measure twice, cut once. So, let's do it again. 32 and a half. Is that what I got? 32 and a half. I got 32 and a half. What do I have here? I got 21 and a half. I got 21 and a half. I got 21 and a half on my piece of wood. Okay, I'm set to go. So here I have my 1x2 by 6. And we're going to make our measurements to cut. Okay. So now we'll make our first cut. We get our piece of wood. All right, we'll go with the 32 and a half. We're going to measure out. 32, 32 and a half. I make a line on each side of the dot. And we can measure in from the other side. And see how close we get to the center, right? 32, 32 and a half. Okay, so there's my two pieces out of this 1 6-foot length. Push stuff aside, get stuff out of your way. Take a little drink. Now, you take your poor man's saw, a little rudimentary, so all projects are done. Okay. And start your cut. Here's your first one. Okay. And you got the two lengths. I like to do a little finishing work after the cut. Just so things fit nicely. There. And you got a piece of scrap for later on. Remember, Poor Man Workshop, we deal in scrap. Okay, little sanding here. That's done. Gotta hurry up and get started here. Okay, that's done. You're done. Where's my drink? Okay. Now you'll notice on the table I have my 4 pieces of wood and 2 drill bits. What you want to do is you want to pre-drill your holes. Okay, we're going to be drilling into pressed wood, which needs to be pre-drilled, otherwise it will crack. And also sometimes with a lot of pine, softer woods. So you pre-drill to prevent that. The thicker bit is for the set. So the head of the screw sets beneath the wood layer. Okay, so it's nice and neat. And that's what we're going to do next. Okay, and we're going to do it with this hammer drill. So let's get started. Now you may be wondering if there's a certain spacing that's preferred. And really, here in the poor man's workshop, we don't give a shit. So, we are going to begin, and we're going to guesstimate, because there's nothing wrong with that. Okay? As long as it's centered. Okay? And you can go every 6 inches, you can go 8 inches, 12, doesn't matter. Okay? Okay, you have that. Take a little sandpaper just to smooth out the holes. You'll be doing that more than once. Because if you haven't already guessed, the next step is the screw set drill bit. Okay. And you're only going down about a 1/16 of an inch on these holes. Sometimes it's difficult because the drill bit grabs tightly. Ooh, deep one, deep one. Okay. You can see that, how they recessed. And again, you're back to your sandpaper because now you made more nodules sticking up than you care to even talk about. You got a filthy, dirty bench now, dust everywhere. Christ. All right. Now you want to pick up your drink so you don't get sawdust in it and dust the table off. Okay, now that we've got our ottoman back up on the table, we're going to see how well we fit our wood. And we'll see if the old adage, measure twice, cut once, did us justice. Okay. We got our 31.5 inch piece. We want to fit it in between. It doesn't fit tight, but that's fine. Because this is the poor man's workshop. It really doesn't matter. Okay? Now, what we need to do again with our small bit is to pre-drill a little bit into the pressed wood so the screw will get started and go in and make a nice tight fit without going through to the other side. Just at the top. Staples are in the way, but we just want to be just at the top of this foot here. Okay, that's where we're going. Okay, just once had a math teacher that said if 2 sides fit, all sides will fit. What he meant by that? Not a clue. Now, as you can see, we have everything in nicely recessed in our ottoman. Now, we've measured the inside, so now we're going to cut the plywood. That's going to sit on top of this brace, and then we'll be able to set the screws and give it a good solid feel. Let's get started. Here's our sheet of plywood. Nice grain, nobody cares. Okay, it's thick enough to do the job. Nice enough grain to be stained, but it's going to be underneath anyway. Who cares? Okay. Now, luckily, our ottoman was 24 inches. Okay, and we bought a 24-inch piece of wood. So we only got to cut one side. All right, and that's our length, and that was 34.5 inches. Okay, so we're going to cut 34.5 inches. We're going to draw our little hash marks on either side of the 34.5-inch line. We're going to move our line down so we have our hash marks on both ends. And it would be nice to have a straight edge, but guess what? This is the poor man's workshop. No straight edge. Okay, but we're not at a loss. We do have a scrap piece of wood, if you remember. And you know, it should be straight enough for our purposes. You just line up the hash marks and you draw your line. And you know what? It looks straight to me. So, we're good. Okay. Now we're going to have to slide this to the end of the table, get our rudimentary saw, and start cutting. Because that's what we do. Rudimentary saw, straight line. Okay, let's do it. You know, this could take a while. Oh, hey, that's what happens when you can't afford a good saw. Jesus Christ. Did they really do this in the 1900s? Son of a bitch. All right. Moving right along now. We've got our braces in, we've cut our board, and now it's time to see if it fits. Now, if I recall, we measured once and cut once. So we'll see. And she slides right in perfectly. With a solid fit. Now, during the break, I peeled back the foam and I made hash marks where the screws could go in without a chance of hitting the other screws going horizontally. So, again, we're going to pre-drill. That's what happens when you don't chalk it. Like I said, this drill is heavy. The old arm, the elbows, getting a workout. Gonna need 1 or 2 more drinks. Anywho, let's get started, all right? And now you're gonna set your drill, set your screws in. Making sure we don't crack the wood. Okay, we set all our screws. Can flip it up. Got a nice solid base. Okay, now we've got our top on. I've got some bad news for us. We had originally intended to put the wheels back on, but after close examination of the wheels, we find that a lot of them were bent. So instead, we default to legs. We're going to put a nice set of legs on the bottom of our ottoman. And first, we're going to have a drink. Ooh, that's good. So, over here we have our staining board where we have our pre-stained legs. Okay, it's basically just a homemade apparatus that we take pride on here in the Poor Man's Workshop. And put that back. Okay. Okay, so now we have our legs. And what we need to do is install in each corner a bracket that the leg will screw into. Okay, so it makes a nice tight fit, holds steady. Of course, it means more drilling of holes. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, the Poor Man's Workshop, we take safety very seriously. Ooh, that hits the spot. So, what we're going to do is we're going to plant these brackets roughly an inch from either end in the corner. Maybe 2 inches. And we're just starting these holes. We don't want to go all the way through. Nice, nice, very nice. All right, calls for a drink. Staple gun, okay? 1/2-inch staples. We've got to put the foam back down. And then we're going to actually put the cover over it, because the cover does have cuts in it to where we'll be able to screw our legs in. So, the corner, you fold it over. You try to pull it as taut as possible, and you plant the staple. Okay. Get those staples in nice. If you have to, just to make sure that nothing's going to pop out on you. Okay? And we'll do that to each corner. Can't wait till those legs go on, huh? It's going to look nice. Now, we have the original cover that went over. You could see it was a Sealy. I don't know when they got into the furniture business, but judging by the way this was put together, maybe they're not in business anymore. So anyway, we're going to put the original cover back over just to make it look like it was never touched. Okay, and there you have it. Nice tight fit. Poor quality control because I forgot this side. Give me a minute, will you? Okay. Tight as a drum. Now, as I said earlier, there were holes, but not anymore. So we're going to find the holes for the screws and we're going to pop our own, all right? And again, it's been quite the exciting project. Okay, we'll see how we do there with our first one. Nice, hand tight. Okay. Okay, and there you go. Ottoman with legs. I think the next step would be to flip it over and to test it out. And we'll see if we can do that. And there we go. We'll get another 5-10 years out of our nice ottoman with our reinforced bottom and our new legs. Well, I'm Ron Trapani, and thank you for joining with our first edition of the Poor Man's Workshop. We'll be back in the future with more interesting projects. Thank you, and good night.